Hello everybody, this is Pastrytime, and welcome to the Rumble audio commentary. Rumble the Mechanized Menace, Mechanized Menace, there we go, is the newest champion of League of Legends, come last patch, which was a few days ago. That was Tuesday night for us, whenever it was for you guys. And yeah, I've been playing a couple of games with Rumble since he came out. Quite like the champion, very, very unique, very different to anything that's been released in this game so far. So I'm going to do an audio commentary on him here. I found a game I think exemplifies his strengths and shows his playstyle reasonably well. It's obviously not perfect. The champion's still very new, but I think this game does the best that I can show you guys, at least at this point. So just a quick overview about how Rumble plays out in terms of playstyle. Rumble is basically an AP tanky DPS. Now, a lot of people kind of would compare that to Vladimir, but Rumble has a lot more bulk and a lot less damage than Vladimir. So Vladimir is quite high damage. He's kind of got a lot of health, but he's not particularly tanky unless you build him like that. And most Vlads build more or less straight AP in order to maximize your damage output, seeing as how you have a good escape and can kind of constantly output damage enough to keep you alive, especially if you kite them with Rylai's. Rumble, he's actually a melee champion, despite having abilities that scale off AP that are ranged. And well, my brain just died. He's a melee champion. He does get into the firefight a lot, and so you do need to be quite aggressive. And I consider him tanky first and an AP DPS later. He's certainly not an AP carry. You would want a different mage in your team if you kind of building your team comp. But the good things about Rumble is he's very good as a solo, and he's really intimidating for the opponent. So basically, what's going on here? I'll talk about pre-game stuff first before anything else happens. We're just wandering around the jungle, making sure Olaf can successfully counter jungle and doesn't get himself hurt too much. You'll probably see a bit of action, but I'll talk over that. So in terms of masteries, I've gone 9-21-0. That's probably the most optimal mastery build. It gives you the best early game kind of damage and cooldown balance for when you want to be offensive, and you absolutely need that bulk. All those 21 points into defense just to make you as beefy as possible. Because you will get harassed a lot in lane, especially in a duo or a 2v1 lane. And you've really got to watch out for that. Rumble absolutely falls to pieces if he's not bulky enough, so it's important that you're bulky. In terms of runes, I'm running a kind of modified version of Freak's runes. You've seen me here being very aggressive with Lee Sin. I'll talk a little bit about why that is in a second. But basically, as I said, a modified set of Freak's runes from his build, and my build's kind of a modified one of his too. They're very similar. His build, I would definitely recommend following, at least initially, when you're playing this character. But runes, before I get lost completely, I've got a Magic Pen Marks, Move Speed Quintessences, Armor Seals, and Dodge Seals, sorry, because I have the Dodge Mastery as well, and Magic Resist per level Glyphs. It's a little bit early for me, but that's all good. We'll start landing here with Rumble against Renekton. It is a solo lane, and you'll see me be very, very aggressive here with Flame Spit, his Q spell. And I'll be maxing that first. Again, I'll be following the skill order build from the Champion Spotlight as well. If you guys haven't seen that yet, go check that out. Kind of make sure you're up to speed with at least kind of the basics of Rumble, because Freak covers them a lot better than I do. Now, this is a bit unfortunate, for you guys that are wondering. He's actually AFK. He wasn't originally, because I'm pretty sure I saw him Q. But he's unfortunately been DC'd, and I get a free first blood. Now, people might argue that mattered or not. I honestly just thought it was hilarious. But yeah, I don't think that mattered too much, honestly. Although it did make his early game a little bit weaker, obviously. But he does catch up in levels, as you'll see. Anyway, that amused me greatly. But yeah, you want to be really aggressive with Flame Spit. Flame Spit is basically like Fiddle's Drain, in that it's a channeled spell, although it's not technically channeled. It's basically a spell that you kind of cast over a period of time that does more damage the longer they're in it. So it lasts for 3 seconds. I know Fiddle's Drain lasts for longer, thank you for that. It lasts for 3 seconds, and it deals damage per second. So you get the maximum damage output at very early levels, just by kind of making them stand in it as long as you possibly can. You'll see me darting around a lot kind of moving back and forth towards a creep wave and towards a champion, and then moving kind of around. I'm trying to get the best coverage with Flame Spitter that I can without overcommitting to an aggressive attack. Rumble, you will take a lot of damage from minions if you constantly harass their champion. And you want to kind of just Q as much as possible. You can Q minion waves. It does deal half damage to minions, so it doesn't actually farm all that well, although it does allow you to push reasonably well. Think of it kind of like Singed Poison, how it lets you push by lowering the creep's health. I mean, you can farm that way as well, but it will not last hit very well for you at all. So definitely keep that in mind when using it against minions. I see Lesion's come up to help Renekton, who had obviously disconnected, but it's back now. Level 4 vs level 1 is not a very fair fight. You'll see just how much damage I end up doing to this Renekton. It's a little bit silly. So this is obviously an advantage, and the first blood gold is kind of an advantage. Not that I've gone back for anything yet. It's basically just free boots, which I suppose, going to get anyway. But I'm basically being so obviously with the DC, I want to be aggressive, but in general, you want to be as aggressive as you can without dying. You see I took a lot of damage there from minions. I've actually got the reduced damage from minions in the defense tree, just to offset the fact that I expect to be very aggressive in lane. In a 2v1 lane, you probably wouldn't want to be quite this aggressive, but you can dart back and forth with Flame Spitter on. You see, I'm being a little bit more cautious now now that my health's a bit lower, and Renekton is slowly catching up in levels as well. We'll be about equal in a minute or two. I get myself kind of out of position here, which is a bit awkward. She just manages to stun me, but my move speed Quints plus my junk shield. Is it junk shield? Scrap shield, whatever. Scrap shield. Junk shield's a much better name. Scrap shield managed to keep me reasonably safe here. I am staying in lane only because I am a few levels above him. I would otherwise probably try and get someone to cover lane, but I do have a decent amount of regen here with this Durant shield, so I'm not too worried. I actually do ask for someone to cover top right there, but I think I actually end up regenerating out of it anyway, so that's okay. I have had builds where I've started with a regrowth pendant first, which have been really effective because one of Rumble's weaknesses is if he gets harassed too much in lane, he's not able to be aggressive enough. So if you can't kind of find a period for yourself where you can have respite and just regen up a little bit, you'll find yourself getting outclassed in lane really quickly, and that's not something you want as a Rumble. You need the farm. You absolutely need your Rylai's Crystal Scepter as early as possible. I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, basically, if you're not able to play your game as Rumble, you fall behind quite rapidly, and any tanky DPS falling behind is generally a bad thing, especially for Rumble, seeing as his bulk is pretty much item reliant, whereas his damage is level and skill reliant. So level and experience reliant. Or level and we'll go level and experience reliant. That's the one. In terms of skill order, as I said, I'm maxing Q is Flamethrower or Flame Spitter first, then W, then E. Same as the Spotlight. Go watch that. You'll notice that I'm trying to mix it up between harassing with Q and then making sure I can zone him and keep my distance properly. I'm using Rumble's E. It's a stackable slow skill shot nuke. It doesn't do all that much damage, but the slow is pretty sick, and the range on it is reasonably decent. So not only is it good for chasing, it does a really good job of making sure it can keep absolute maximum lane control, and of course your W is a decent escape mechanism and a way to survive. I have a funny feeling I know Renekton's in that bush there, so that's why I'm not kind of flame spitting these minions absolutely hardcore. He's trying to play sneaky on me, and it doesn't really pay off for him, given that he's basically caught up now. I mean, maybe not in terms of farm, obviously, but he's not too far behind. I mean, I know he's still 2 levels behind here, but he will catch up. He should just try and farm as best as he can, and not be quite so aggressive. I mean, I know it's weird for Renekton not to be aggressive, but even in a straight up fight, I think Rumble would probably have the upper hand. Flame Spitter really does do just ridiculous amounts of damage. It takes a little bit of time to get used to, given that it kind of doesn't really target or anything. It just kind of happens, and you kind of spray the cone of fire near their face. But yeah, you'll see me kind of again go up and harass, walk away. If you followed me again, tried to close the distance with Slice and Dice, I could just use Electro Harpoon. You can also use Electro Harpoon to last hit from a distance if you're having trouble as well. So that's all the good stuff there at Rumble. His ultimate we'll talk a little bit about in a second, but I'll talk about builds now. So I had a lot of builds that I experimented with Rumble. I talked about having a Regrowth Pendant first that I quite liked, and I think it's probably a toss-up between that and Doran's Shield, but that depends on your item build. Doran's is probably a better first item in all cases, but I didn't actually like Rylai's that much because I kept dying Now, I talked about Rumble, it being really important that you get enough farm to be bulky, because if you're not bulky as Rumble, you absolutely don't do anything. But I knew Rylai's was a good item on it, so basically what happened is this game kind of went well enough, and I didn't kind of get owned in lane. Mega hardcore, I got to farm up enough that I was able to actually get Rylai's at an early point in this game. So you're basically looking to rush Rylai's as fast as possible, but you really need it within a reasonable time frame. If you don't get your item quickly enough, your bulk pretty much won't be high enough by the time it actually starts to fighting. So I was talking at the start of the commentary about how Rumble really needs to be able to play his own game in order to be effective, and that's what I'm talking about. You need to be able to get your Rylai's early, and you need to be able to kind of snowball that into enough of an advantage where you can get tanky items. Because if you don't have Rylai's and you're not tanky, you're not going to do anything with Rumble. His damage output won't scale that high into late game, and pretty much all his strength will be negated. You basically want to play very scary, almost an initiator type role, just running in and dealing as much damage as possible, and then kiting and chasing where you see fit with your other abilities. While we're onto Rumble, as there are many new things about him, we'll talk about his resource system, Heat. So it's a weird thing to use. I certainly still haven't mastered it yet, and it takes quite a long time to get used to. I think it's a resource that goes up, but not down, which is weird, because normally you have a consumable resource like mana or energy, but this is the opposite. It's a resource that when you use too much of, something happens. So for those of you who aren't aware, each of your abilities costs 20 heat each. If you don't use abilities for a short while, you'll cool down reasonably rapidly. But your abilities are on low enough cooldowns that you're able to spam them and generate heat quite quickly, especially if you blow your cooldowns in succession. Your ultimate doesn't cost anything. If you're wondering, it doesn't cost you any heat. And when you do overheat, when you hit 100 heat, you go into Junkyard Titan, which increases your attack damage based on... your attack damage based on AP, I'm pretty sure. And it also silences you, so you can't use any of your abilities for the duration of Junkyard Titan while you cool down. I'll just mouse over it here quickly. 6 seconds you're silenced for, which is quite a long time. Although the extra damage can kind of help you in some situations. On top of that, whenever you're above 50 energy and you use an ability, it has additional effects. So either 30% damage or it's pretty much a 30% increase in effect at all levels. And your ultimate, I'm pretty sure, your ultimate also isn't affected by danger zone. So there's that to think about as well. Water's so good. So again, I've gone back. I've got my Giant's Belt and my Amplifying Tome. Kind of want Giant's Belt ASAP, given that you need that bulk in order to be all good and stuff. Early AP is fine on Rumble. You get a little bit of extra mileage out of mainly your Q. Again, it's your main source of damage. It's pretty much your only spell that does damage. It's not your ultimate. Connecting here, kind of, again, now he's kind of caught up in levels. Aggressively pursuing me, but I'm trying to keep the lane as pushed as I possibly can. I bought the ward for the express reason that I didn't want to get ganked anymore. I knew I could get out of a gank pretty easily if I spotted it, and I wanted the minion advantage on my side if I'm going to be aggressive, and that's something that's really important. If you're going to be really aggressive in a lane like this, you want to have lane control. So it means you want minions to be on your side when you start fights. One of the good things about Rumble is that you kind of deal splash damage to minions with Flame Spitter as you go to harass. So you're able to pretty much take lane dominance really easily. The only downside being that you extended quite far and you're quite vulnerable to ganks. You may have noticed I missed a couple of electro harpoons there, so don't judge me. Again, I haven't played this character to death yet. Certainly not perfect with him at all, but I felt this replay exemplified a few of the good things about Rumble. You'll notice I saw Lee Sin there and I've immediately backed out towards the brush. I'll easily take him on there, given how far he is away from Renekton, but he kind of runs away, realizing that I know where he is, and he gives it up. Knowing that Lee Sin might be double backing and could still be around, I actually stopped flame spittering the lane quite so hardcore. It's important to understand lane control and to realize when you should push and when you shouldn't push. And in this instance, it's a bit scary for me to overextend, so I wanna bring it back a little bit. Besides, if Renekton comes to fight me now, then which he will, then I've got a perfect enough space if Lee Sin is still hiding and waiting for me. All of which is really good stuff. So I'm just last hitting away with him, but again, just trying to pretty much zone him as much as possible. It costs Renekton a lot to stand in for my Flame Spitter, especially since his damage is more burst oriented. And so I'm basically just using Flame Spitter to control the lane and push as much as possible. And you want to be selectively aggressive, but definitely aggressive. I noticed this in again, end up double backing. Yeah, it does manage to reckon whatever that move is called. I can't remember the name of it. I even own that champion. Not that you could tell. And all that stuff. So might talk a bit about 2v1s over here. No, probably not. It's kind of not worth it, given that I have an obvious level advantage. I am trying to kind of keep them both in lane. I'm happy to 2v1 them at this point. Given how aggressive and effective my zoning has been, and of course that early first blood. I forgot to mention that ult on Renekton. I was a big fan of that ult. I unfortunately have to use my ignite there because I do end up overheating. Because again, I'm not the master of the heat system yet, but I do manage a pretty easy kill on Renekton there, who was a little bit too far forward. But talk about his ult quickly. His ult is really, really good. The damage it does is exceptional. It's easily his highest damage spell. And at level 1 especially, it does absolutely tons and tons of damage. It kind of scales off a little bit towards the end, but it still just does great damage at all times, really. Placement of it is really strange, because it has a reasonably long range, but it's obviously kind of a straight line. Drawing that line is weird, because you can draw it from any of the points. Any of the points you're able to target from. Normally with a skill shot, you draw a line from your champion to their champion, and that's quite easy to understand. This one is a little bit weird, especially given the way the missiles kind of fall in a really narrowish kind of line. So you'll notice I knew Renekton was going to jump into the bush because he's been brush humping all game. So I just equalized him down, almost killed him, missed an electro harpoon trying to dive him and end up igniting him after overheating. But you know, I get the kill. Talking quickly about summoners actually, because I did forget to in the pre-game. I decided on Flash Ignite. Ignite was kind of just an aggression choice. If you're against someone in lane who has some sort of heal, you can kind of push them out of it with Ignite, something you can't really do with Exhaust. Exhaust is great if you think you're going to get ganked a lot, but I think Rumble's kind of bulky enough. He holds his own well enough that he doesn't really need the Exhaust. And I would prefer to P-Ignite and just kind of have that aggressive mentality. Again, you'll notice darting back and forth here with Flame Spitter. Really important to space your character importantly. I mean, Flame Spitter does have a range, albeit a short one, and you don't just kind of want to rush into melee range at all times and take a lot of damage for no reason. But yeah, and our Flash is basically because his W is kind of a mini ghost. I don't really want to find myself... I always find myself in the middle of fights and team fights, for the most part. And I never really find myself needing to reposition all that much, because I'm kind of on top of their team anyway. The times where I do need to get out are usually when I need to be really rapidly mobile. And I think Flash just serves Rumble's purposes a little bit better. So yeah, that was pretty much the reason I chose those two summoners. You could kind of choose kind of whatever you like, really. Rumble is not too fast, but I like Flash Ignite. You guys can do whatever. I was going to talk about Flash vs Ghost there, but I think I'll save that for another commentary. You'll notice Renekton again, he's in trouble. And I'm going to go back for my Rylai's, hopefully. Let's check. Yep, I'm going to go back for Rylai's Crystal Scepter. Had a very respectable 17 minutes. That is quite early. The one kill I got on Renekton was obviously a fair kill. The other one was not a fair kill. So I probably would have got it around the 20-minute mark. Definitely. If I hadn't got that first kill. But who knows? He's been playing quite aggressive. He's overextended a little bit too much. It's likely I might have got a kill there anyway, especially given how often Lee Sin was coming up to try and gank me. So who knows? But yeah, Rylai's was pretty much on time. He basically won it by the 20-minute mark. As Rumble, you really do need to try and nab yourself a solo lane. I think top's better for Rumble, just basically given that. Given how bulky he is, and he has a reasonably sustainable presence, especially if you have any regen items. So I'm going to go ahead and dive Renekton here. I've kind of missed dives slightly. I actually end up having to ignite Renekton again, because again I've used my heat gauge, but it doesn't really matter too much to me. That ignite's actually come in very handy, given that I've both kills I've gotten I've overheated myself, so that's another reason to get Ignite. It's basically an extra spell after you silence yourself, because you can still use it, which is really strange. Actually, that's really odd. I don't think I should be able to do that. Anyway, I'm pretty sure you can't use summoners when you're silenced, but apparently I can use Ignite. Maybe that's a bug. Who knows, guys? But exploit it if it is, until they fix it. But yeah, get a pretty easy dive and Renekton here. I'm doing pretty well at this point. Having a Rylai's, having those two fair kills and one kind of free kill, which was nice, has led me to become a wrecking machine. I am Rocky, after all. Pushing this turret, nothing too new here. Rumble, it certainly isn't the best pusher, unless you somehow manage to put Junkyard Titan on just before your push starts. Well, okay, it's not a bad pusher, sorry, it's not the fastest pusher, and it certainly doesn't do the most damage to turrets. I am taking an absolute ton of damage from Renekton here, who does Dominus, but I should be able to get out of this reasonably easily with combined slows from Rylai's and Electro Harpoon. That's just kind of a testament to how ridiculous the slows on Rumble are. I do recall here, I kind of think I thought about staying back, but I was pushed so far forward that I wasn't worried about my tower taking too many hits. And basically doing the normal tanky DPS thing is just kind of farming top for as long as possible. Yeah. And with Rumble definitely being as aggressive as I can. Again, his early game damage output with Flame Spitter is really top notch. So you want to get in there and abuse that before your opponent starts stacking too much ammo. I haven't played really any late game Rumble at all lately, so I couldn't tell you how well he scales into late game. My best guess would be that he wouldn't scale that well, but his ultimate would still be relevant. Although he could still be good against squishies, depending on how they build. I'm just gonna click on Renekton here. He's not really gotten any early bulk. I've got quite a lot from my Merc treads, which I always recommend going with Rumble, just as you basically just need the bulk straight up. Like, you're pretty fast anyway, you're really good at chasing people. So basically the only thing that would stop you chasing people is CC, so reducing that is really important. And I've got my runes are doing quite well here as well, with the MR rune from Dodge as well. Renekton's gonna come back in. He actually stuns me facing the wrong way with Flame Spitter, which is really annoying. But it was good stuff by him. Lee Sin comes through. I don't think I saw him then, but I managed to flash just to close the gap and scrap shield away. And of course, I'm back to shooting him with my lasers and stuff. You wanna really constantly keep the pressure on his Rumble. I will eventually talk about teamfighting with Rumble when it starts, but it has been quite a long laning phase, which is great for someone like Rumble. You're basically designed to be a sustainable laner. Top is mainly about sustainable laning, given how secluded it is. So doing all the right things here. So anyway, the other lanes have been pushing themselves. There's been lots of action going on, and I'm gonna take my Rylai's Crystal Scepter and all my farm and go and help my teammates who have just arrived. So you'll see I run into Lee Sin here and Cassiopeia. Pretty much just go straight on without fear. Equalize right down the line. There's this ridiculous Sona ult happens that manages, I think, to nab me, which nabs me the double kill. I kind of run out with Scrap Shield on, and I should be kiting the Electro Harpoon, but I'm basically trying not to die at this point. And then I think we end up with the ace. Yeah, we end up with the ace pretty handily. That Sona ult was really sick. If you saw that, go back and watch that bit if you didn't quite catch it. But Sona, I basically equalized right down the choke point, and Sona just ulted through them all, which not only saved my arts because I was taking a crap ton of damage, but managed to score me a double kill and basically outright win us that team fight with no problems. So Rumble's AoE is certainly not to be underestimated. You'll notice I have a strange habit of I W whenever I'm pushing a turret. That's actually not me being stupid. It's me thinking I'm playing Blitzcrank because I'm a robot, basically, and his W increases his attack speed, which you always use when you push. But yeah, that's just a weird habit I'm having trouble shaking. But that's pretty much Rumble in a teamfight 101. You want to be at the front line. You want to be dealing damage with your Flame Spitter. You want to be chasing anyone who's running away. No one's running with your E, and you want to equalize in the most opportune place in order to provide maximum AoE damage for your team. So yeah, that was kind of my initiation there. So I was happy with that. and their team got there a little bit too late and were quite out of position, given that Cannon was behind us, Renekton was above us, and Lee Sin and Cassiopeia were in front of me, taking a crap ton of damage. I think, who's their fifth? And I think Sivir got melted at some point in there too. But yeah, that narrow choke point, really perfect place for Rumble's ult. It's harder in open spaces, to be honest with you. Like, in a lane, it's a lot harder to hit with. You'll notice when we do have a couple of team fights in this lane that my ult isn't placed as well as it could be, and it's certainly much easier to get out of. But I'm going to run into Renekton here, and you're going to see the power of Rylai's Crystal Scepter. This slow is just obscene. I basically slow him infinitely with Q, and then slow him with a harpoon, and he literally cannot get away from me. That is the power of Rumble right here. Red buff certainly helps as well. Red buff Rumble's pretty sweet. And yeah, that's I mean, that's the reason you get Rylai's, is it just gives you so much early power. You basically are, once you catch someone and they're dead. That Renekton was a little bit out of position, just kind of checking bushes, and he got himself killed. But as I said, if you can't get it early, you can't get enough tanky items, you're not going to do too well. Anyway, we're going to tower dive here onto Lee Sin. He takes a fair amount of damage. Cannon comes back in, Sona ults. I'm thinking about ulting, but I haven't quite managed to yet. We're taking quite a lot of damage under this turret, so we're going to back up a little bit. But we did manage to land a free kill there, although Sona did get killed, which is sad. This whole time I'm watching my heat gauge, wondering what I could do better with it. Going off the ward now. Dum-de-dum-dum. Just warding up. Seeing as how I've been farming for so long, I feel like I should ward for my team. And I'm gonna go push top back, all that good stuff. Just your general. I don't want to give up map control, but I don't want to die and charge the front of their base stuff. Also, free farm is never bad. You kind of constantly want Farmer's Rumble. The next item I'll be going for is the Sunfire Cape, and then after that I'll be going for Force of Nature. That is pretty much Rylai's Force of Nature, Sunfire Cape. That's basically your core as Rumble. You don't need a whole lot after that. Actually, sorry, I don't go Force of Nature's Cape, I go Abyssal Scepter. Talk about that actually while we're here. So basically, you want an armor item, an MR item, and Rylai's. That's your core. So you want 2 tank items and your damagey, CC, tanky item, which is Rylai's. So your key item, Rylai's, and 2 other tank items. Whether you go a little bit heavier on the AP and a little bit less on the defense, or a little bit more on the defense, is basically dependent on how well the game is going and how scary the opponents you're facing are. Like any tanky build, it's highly dependent on what your opponents are choosing to do. So keep that in mind as well. I do like Sunfire Cape on Rumble just because he kind of needs extra AoE damage. If you're running into the middle of a fight, there's nothing wrong with having a constant damage tick. Given that you're dealing AP damage anyway, you can just kind of Flame Spitter and Sunfire Cape people. So I would almost always go Sunfire Cape after Rylai's. But you can going either Abyssal Scepter or Force of Nature are both very acceptable. So another team fight's going to start here. I'm pretty sure someone was confused as to why I was going around there. Just warding up, clearing out our jungle, making sure no one's hanging out. And I'm again pretty much going to be in the front line, be in front of our carry, be in front of our support. Pretty much like our tank actually. Given that we don't have a real tank this game, I wouldn't recommend Rumble being your actual tank, but he is a very good tanky DPS. So I'm gonna be serving the role of initiator and I guess tank as well in this game. So yeah, just pushing up. Hopefully a team fight starts soon. Can have a bit of water. That was good. Yeah, I'm basically pushing up with Flame Spitter as much as I think I can get away with. I don't want to get CC'd with me kind of darting back and forth there when I get in the range of the rest of the champions, but anyone who overextends a little bit, like this very silly Renekton here, is going to get melted. They get melted anyway. Really nice cast ult there. I'm ignited, so I'm slightly worried for my life. But I'll keep running around. I'm on fire and stuff. I'm in a robot. What up? I've got missiles and stuff. I'm going to go Glyphs up now, given that it's going to be pretty hard to break them under that turret. We've now gotten a whole lot of map control in their half of the base though, so we can go steal their red as well. I'll quickly go check if Udu's going to do that. Yeah, he's going to go steal their red. Thank you very much to the person, by the way, who told me that Y was lock and unlock camera, because that made that a whole lot easier. I'll tell you right now. Anyway, clearing out top again, it's Rumble. from memory, this game doesn't go for too much longer. So I'm just trying to think of anything I can talk about. I think mainly I'll just talk about team fighting. Talk about runes, talked about builds, talked about Masteries and all that stuff. Talked about laning for a long time. Definitely Rumble's general laning philosophy, which is be aggressive and set everything on fire. Yeah, and kite and use harpoon to space your opponent. So I guess before more action starts, I'm just burning at creeps. Talk about some upcoming stuff. So the next planned commentary is a Renekton audio commentary, so that should hopefully be up in the next day or so. It might be the day after, so either the end of this weekend or early next week is when that's going up. Please keep sending me requests for commentaries. If you want me to do anything, if you have a replay that you want me to look at, guys, grab the LoLRecorder clients, record some of your games, go to leaguereplays.com. And yeah, I mean, send me some replays. I mean, I do videos just completely off my own replays. I'd love to analyze and commentate and help you guys out by watching your games and doing videos on them. So please send me that stuff. Follow me on Twitter at Pastrytime. There's now an official Pastrytime YouTube thread in the League of Legends forum. I'll put that in the description as well. And of course, you can follow me on YouTube. So please comment, rate, and subscribe. I think the game is kind of coming to an end at the moment. Gonna pick up dragons, just doing all the general map control things, keeping the lanes pushed, making sure we take all the buffs, all that good stuff. And I think I've said all that good stuff way too many times this game. I've used that pin cord there just to make sure I don't have any wards. I'm not too worried actually at this point, but it's not a bad habit to get into, just checking. I could have used it for Baron, but I'd already warded up there, I'm pretty sure. I'm actually going to get back for my Sunfire cape. Given that I knew after that dragon I could afford it. I don't have to go back in this instance, but it is a very good item on Rumble. And I quite like it. I'm actually also not sure we're going to be able to push too hard, so I've kept... I'm still pushing kind of my lane that I was at before. I think we might be going for Baron here, we're pinging it, but we'll see. Kind of wish I had the pink one now, but yeah, that's all good. Other things that might be happening... I'm hopefully going to do... someone asked for a Tryndamere commentary. Hopefully the dual commentary I talked about a couple of videos ago is coming through. So that should be good. Very easy Baron there. Very nice. Really doing ridiculous damage. And I'm just going to keep pushing, basically. I don't know why I'm so insistent on pushing this lane. But I think I feel that they're turtling too much, that I actually just want to put pressure on another lane. Because they're not going to come out to gank me. Like, I have no fear anyway, so... I think that's how I'm going on with that. And I think they're at enough of an advantage that my team can win off a 5v4 probably. That's the other thing as well. So I wouldn't always recommend doing this, but I'm basically just pressing the advantage we have, which is important. Always important to know where you're at and act appropriately, which is quite difficult to do. I'm surprised I even picked that up. Learn something new every day, guys. So you guys have any questions about Rumble? Anything specifically you'd like to know about him? Hopefully I've covered as much as I can. Go watch Champion Spotlight again. Covers all the basics really well. But hopefully I've given you some insight into how he plays. And a little bit about how he works and how you should play him. Hopefully there's a team fight coming up. I should be able to talk about soon. You'll see a lot of very aggressive Rumble style tower diving, which is really sweet stuff. But again, I've kind of got enough bulk this game. I've done well that I can basically just dive at them. This Cassiopeia here is trying to kite me as well as she can, and I'm just going to burn her. Udi's going to come in for the stun. Gonna do some ridiculous damage, which is good stuff. I try to actually get back to the turret in time before Junkyard Titan runs out, so I can actually deal extra damage to it. But it didn't matter anyway. There was an Udi and an Olaf. But the thought really counted to me at the time. It really mattered to me at the point that I got to that turret with my passive still going. Lucian again finds himself caught out, and he's just gonna get slowed to hell. He manages just to dash away onto a team. I think Safeguard, that move's called. Yeah, Safeguard. I haven't played Lucian since it came out, guys. Sorry about that. Again, any other champions you want to see? I do have all the champions in this game. Just saying. So I'm happy to do commentaries on pretty much anyone. Anything at all really that you'd like me to do, I'm happy to do. So send your own games in, send replays of your own games for me to look at. Send requests, please leave comments, all that. I'm not gonna say all that good stuff. Please leave comments, because feedback means $1 million to me. It's just so helpful. and I'm gonna face tank this turret like a boss for no reason. So I'm pretty sure a team fight starts here. This turret's gonna go. I know this turret's gonna go down before it starts. It's a really big disadvantage for them there. My ult kind of misses, but covers enough of them. I managed to rack up a double kill, and I'm basically just chasing them down at this point. I think I got kicked away there by Lisa, which would be funny. But I'm pretty much just gonna dive them, and it's all over basically at this point. I am legendary, which I didn't realize until that point, until someone pointed out. And I was like, oh really? I'm taking a lot of damage here. But, you know, it's alright. I'm gonna get out and stuff because I'm still staying on. I mean, again, they don't really have any dudes. They don't have anyone to defend except this Cassiopeia, who's gonna get dived pretty easily. But I go ahead and recall, and I'm pretty sure the game ends here. So hopefully you enjoyed this commentary, guys. I'm looking to improve again, so any feedback is welcome. Again, follow me on Twitter at Pastrytime. I'll put a link to my League of Legends forum thread. It's in Guides and Strategy. Just go ahead and search Pastrytime if you want to find it. But it's my official YouTube, Pastrytime's YouTube thread, or whatever it's called. So put all your requests and stuff there on my channel or at my Twitter. Send me your games. Tell me what you guys want. I've hopefully got the Renekton audio is coming. I've got to decide what I want to do after that. So please, any requests I'll take. I've had a couple, but I'll take many more. Hopefully the Trinimir audio commentaries, the dual audio commentary is coming out. It's not me playing Trinimir, but hopefully I'll be able to talk about Trinimir and how that all works out in depth with a teammate of mine, depending on whether that comes through or not. And I've got another video planned that's on something different. It's kind of it's more mechanics based. I want to talk about kind of spacing and zoning and that kind of thing, because I don't think it's covered quite enough, and a lot of people seem to have questions on it. But for now, you can just watch me tower dive them like a G6, and just burn everybody. I'm pretty much like have no care for their team at this point. I just want to set them all on fire, and I don't care that I'm overheated or taking tons of damage or I'm standing in Cassiopeia's poison. None of that matters because I'm Rumble. But yeah, this game's pretty much over. You saw that early teamfight went really brutally, and they basically just couldn't contend with all the damage from the other two, and I just kind of did my job and set everything on fire. So yeah, that's all that. Again, hopefully everyone has enjoyed this. You can watch the Nexus explode. Watch me dance in my Sunfire cape. And I'll see you guys next time. So again, comment, rate, subscribe. Love you guys long time. Pastrytime saying out.
I'm not even home.